The second scale that we're going to be looking at today is based on how you take in information about the world around you. So as we go through this scale, you're going to decide if you identify more with being an S or a sensor or more of an N for intuition, knowing that all of us will use both of these styles as needed, but there tends to be one that's just a little more comfortable for you. So if I had you all in a face-to-face class, what I would usually do is put this picture up on the board, and I would give you the assignment to write about this picture for a couple minutes. So I want you to just take a look at this picture and imagine if I had to free write about it, what would I write about? So take a sec. Got it? Okay. So if you have more of a preference for sensing, or S, you are all about taking in information using your five senses. Can I see it? Can I hear it? Can I touch it? Can I taste it? Can I smell it? That's what makes things real. These folks are very oriented to their outside environment. They can kind of just take a mental picture and see where everything is. They're often very aware of facts and realities, and they're invested in kind of concrete, literal experiences that they've had. These are people that are often called pretty down-to-earth and realistic. They like to work with pretty practical, tangible problems. They don't like to go too much into abstract, theoretical, what-if type scenarios. They're more like, what have we done? What has worked in the past, what works now. That's what they base things on. They sometimes are known as being quick to see the trees but miss the forest. So they can remember all these individual details, but sometimes they don't pick up on how these details make a big picture. If you're on the other side of the scale and you have more of an N preference for intuition, these folks are really imaginative. They often prefer fantasy to reality. They're in their head. They're kind of visionary, like to work on theoretical issues instead of boring practical problems. They are folks that are quick to see the forest but miss the trees. So they'll look at big picture stuff, but then the individual details sometimes bore them or just aren't on their radar. The N's often talk about just trusting their gut. Something just feels right for how they take in information. They often want to clarify ideas before they put them into practice, and they're very oriented to the future. So a little graphic I use, the S's take in information very literally, like what do I see? What's point 1, point 2, point 3? And the N's are very big picture. What does it all mean? So when I used to collect writing samples from people who would write about this picture, I would notice that my S's and my N's would write about very different things. So my S's would describe the picture to me. They'd say, okay, it's a subway and there's people there, and then up at the top there's actual photographs, on the bottom it's cartoons, there's a woman with big shoes in the lower left-hand corner. They're just giving me a play-by-play. But my N's would want to know what the picture meant. So I would almost get some creative works of fiction, you know? It's Monday morning and the subway is full of germs and it's flu season, or people would start talking about Ghostbusters. And both ways are correct, right? For being able to describe this picture. It's just a different way of looking at it. So here's an example of a S versus an N. The little girl is obviously an S. You know, she could put together a toy airplane, step 1, step 2, step 3, and the little boy's an N, airplane. That's what I'm going for. Some more things you see on the job. The S's want to see more data. The N's just kind of trust their gut. And you can start to see how there might be some conflicts that come up if you are working with people who have the opposite style for taking in information. Imagine a group project that you have to do, and the S's are going to say, okay, what do we have to get done? What has worked? What are these facts? What's kind of a methodical process that we can go through for working on this group project? And the N's want to brainstorm. They want to talk about future possibilities, what just feels right. And if you don't understand this opposite style, they're going to drive each other nuts, right? So some more good SN words. The S's, literal versus the N's, random, down to earth versus head in the clouds, tangible versus conceptual. And they're actually noticing that kids can have these styles. So when you think about your classic Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street, this was a little clip that I saw not too long ago, and Bert and Ernie are arguing about a circle. And Ernie's saying, a circle can be all kinds of things. A circle could be the moon, it could be a pizza, it could be a frisbee. Ernie is very, very N, big picture, all these things that a circle could be. And Bert's saying, it's a circle. And I like it exactly the way it is. And both these styles are wonderful in their own way. So, easy test to be able to tell if somebody is an S or an N. Notice how they give directions. An S is going to be very to the point. How do you get to the library? Well, you go south on Main Street for 3 blocks, and then off the corner of Oak Street, you take a left, and then it's down half a block there. The N's will say, well, you go in that direction for maybe, 2 minutes, and then you're going to see a big blue house with a really beautiful garden and some statues out front, and then you're going to take a left there and go down for maybe another 2 or 3 minutes. Then you're going to see this public park, and you get the idea, right? So I want you to think for you personally, what is your natural style? When you take in information, are you more about senses and facts, or are you more imaginative what could be? We will use both of these, but one of these sides is just going to feel a little more comfortable for you. So ask yourself, when you looked at that picture of the subway, where did you go first? Did you imagine what it meant, or did you look at the individual details? And hopefully that's a hint.